Hey friends, welcome to the Global Leadership Podcast. Today on the podcast, we're going to do something a little bit different. And I think it's going to be not only a ton of fun, but also a great way to mark the end of 2025. But first, my hunch is that if you're here listening, if you press play today, certain things are true about you. For example, I believe that you want to make your world better right where you're at. Maybe you're nodding your head right now. Or you believe that everyone has influence, that leadership isn't just about a title or label. Or maybe you believe that as you grow individually, your impact also grows. If some or all of those things are true about you, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to subscribe to this channel and turn notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the content that we bring you here. We are in this with you and we are for you. So please hit subscribe so you can take advantage of every opportunity to keep getting better. Now on today's episode, when we were planning this season of the podcast, we were looking at December and thinking of how we might acknowledge the end of year. We had this thought. We've released around 50 episodes this year. I don't know if that sounds like a lot to you or not, but when we look back on all the great conversations that we've been able to bring to you all, we thought, what if we put the spotlight on a few of these for one more time? So here's what we did. I got together with one of the Global Leadership Podcast teammates, content producer Eric Case, and we made a short list of our favorite episodes from 2025. What you're going to hear today is a conversation between the two of us where we share why we chose the episodes we did and how they impacted us. At some level, we are just like you. We are trying to grow and get better as people. And just like you, we can get blown away by some of our guests and what they have to say. These are the episodes that we could not get out of our minds. This was a ton of fun. And if you haven't heard any of these episodes, make sure you go back and check them out in their entirety. You can find all of our episodes and show notes on our website at globalleadership.org. Now let's dive into the conversation. Merry Christmas, Eric.
Merry Christmas, Whitney. So nice to have you here in Chicagoland.
It is fun to be in Chicago. It snowed last night
yes, it
in
did.
Chicago.
It snowed many days before you got here.
Yes, it's very, very pretty. I do not love snow.
Well,
I just need you to know that.
I love snow.
Okay, you love snow so much.
So much.
It's
Don't always
beautiful.
love dealing with all the hassles, but it's beautiful. Changes the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm
and
for
it's
it.
fun. It's fun to be here in Chicago around Christmas time. The GLN is having an all staff where we get to all be together, and we look forward to this just because we get to actually hang out, which is a real treat for us.
Yeah. And so that brings us to like what we're doing here today.
Yep.
It's new. It's special. What's happening?
So you came to me and you had this vision because you and I talk all the time about how this podcast is actually changing us. And we hear from you guys about how the podcast is actually helping you grow in your own leadership. And I don't know about you. Well, you've actually told us, but for me, it's a lot of these small little clips that will stay in my brain. And maybe it's the way that Erica Dewan taught me how to write an email. Yeah. Or maybe it's that James Hewitt reminded me that I should sleep more, which I think about around 10 o'clock every night. Like James would be so proud of me if I fell asleep right now. And so it's these small clips that have really changed the way that we lead. So you came to me with this idea to kind of, what are we getting to do here today?
Yeah, well, what we did is we just kind of asked each other, what were some of the standout episodes of 2025? And why don't we talk through what hit us about those episodes and share them with you guys?
Yeah. So the first one that you said you really wanted to dive into was Marcus Buckingham. Tell us why.
Buckingham. Well, Marcus Buckingham has been around the Leadership Summit for quite a bit. He spoke at the summit in 2024.
That's right.
And the content was amazing. And so we had him on the podcast in March where he extended the content of that talk a little bit. And it's all about love at work, how to find the love in what you do. And then as a leader, how to guide people into loving what they do and the effect that can have on an organization.
Yes.
So I think without me talking about it too much, I want to play a clip for you.
Okay, let's do it.
From it, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Let's do it.
So when you look at the most successful people, the data would suggest, and this is data out of the Mayo Clinic, so it's not perfect, but it's really rigorous and reliable data that suggests that if you study doctors and nurses that don't burn up, they've got 20% of the activities in their day that they love, self-reported. They didn't use the metaphor of red threads. There was just what percentage of your day are activities that you love. The nurses and doctors that didn't burn up, and a lot do burn up. So they were looking at the extreme positives, if you like, of the doctors and nurses population. They were at 20% red threads. Well, that's interesting. That means you don't have to find a job you love. You have to find the love in what you do. That's, it's what I shared on the GLS stage. That's different. Can you find the love in what you do? Can you find 20% red threads? That's doable for us. It does suggest that we humans, if you have 25 loveless days in a row, and then you try to cram 20% red threads in the final 2 days of a month, that doesn't work. That 20% needs to be every day. Love is like people think it's a luxury, but it's like, no, it isn't. It's a force. Love, like any force, it needs to be expressed, and then it can be productive. Think about the force of, lightning or electricity or water, or like if you dam it up, bad things happen. Love has got to come out, but we don't have to have 100%, but we do need 20%, and we do need every day.
Great clip, huh?
So good.
So, in case you missed that, red threads are the things that you just love and that you feel strong at, the things you do where you just lose track of time. Mm-hmm. And that hits me on multiple levels, on personal level. But I'm also curious to hear, because you have a team of people that you lead. Mm-hmm. So how does that play out for you as a leader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 20%. Yeah. So that matters, right? That matters so much. So, and Marcus has really helped me with this. I want my team to make sure that they are finding their 20% of what they absolutely love. And as our team leader, I am fighting for them to make sure that 20% of their day is what they absolutely love. So what that's actually meant, Eric, for us is we've had to get really honest inside of our team. So as our team leader, and just our team in general, hey, I really love this, Whitney, or hey, I really don't like this. And that's going to make up some parts of our job still. Yep. But as our team leader, I'm going to do all I can to make sure that they're living out some of their red thread. Is that your experience too?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think, I have a leader that I went through that process with. Yeah. And it wasn't overnight. Okay. It was months of discussions of, I didn't like this. I loved this. But over time, I was blessed with a leader who gently pushed me into things that I loved more and more and more. And I also love very quickly just that it's a number, 20%. It's a number.
Quantifiable. Yeah.
I'm on the feeling artist side. Yep. So to me, I'm cool with I really liked that, but he quantifies it. I mean, that's an hour of day. You can sit there and go X number of hours, 20% of that, make sure that I'm investing in things that I love.
Absolutely.
And amazing things can happen to your team, to your organization, your families, on and on and on.
Yeah. And what I want to say inside of that, especially for listeners, because you might be saying, well, I don't have a team leader that's asking me those questions. Well, really, Marcus, in this whole episode, so go back and listen to the episode. He talks a lot about taking individual, authority and going to your team leader and saying, hey, I want to talk to you about what I really, really love. And even helping them see and Marcus says it too, that love is a force. So the more that you can keep putting me inside that seat of what I absolutely love, that's so helpful. And it's really going to help your team leader get the best output of you as well. So the ownership isn't necessarily on the team leader, although it's helpful if the leader is with you in that. But you taking that individual, using your voice, going to your leader and saying, hey, I really want to talk about what I'm loving and how we can frame that up inside of our work relationship.
Yes.
I love that so much. Okay, we're going to jump to Joni Eareckson Tada. I can't listen to this episode without crying, without being in awe of her story. God has used her in such incredible ways and in such hard ways as well. And so much of this episode was about suffering and how her suffering has formed her. Did you kind of get that from the episode as well when you were listening to her formation that way?
Yeah, 100%. And then there was the transparency piece that she brought in at the end when she was like, leaders, be transparent about your suffering.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that as a leader that I didn't do that for a long time. I thought I had to have this facade of strength and perfectionism all the time. And it's just such a great cautionary word for people to say, you can be different, and maybe you should be different and be more vulnerable.
Yeah. And I've really noticed because of Johnny's story, and we did apply what you're saying, like being vulnerable inside of our team, it creates as long as you have a safe team, it creates safety and trust as well. And I also know, Eric, there's so many of our listeners that you guys have had, it's been a hard year. There have been hard things in your life. And maybe even pressing play on this is just like another hard thing in your world to say, I want to keep growing as a leader, even though this has been a challenging year. And my hope is that go back and listen to this episode and see how God has used her suffering and she's honest with God.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I mean that right when the first couple of years, she wanted to commit suicide.
Yep.
And I just think there's so much for us to learn if it's been hard years for us through her story. And so we picked a clip, and it's actually a clip that I thought was so interesting about how God started tapping her shoulder about how she was a leader in a very ordinary way. So we'll check that out.
So you mentioned the word responsibility in your vows. As a leader, at some point, did you start realizing, oh my, not only, I would think you went from your injury and thinking, will I ever do anything productive, to all of a sudden you find yourself as a leader and you're leading maybe environments you didn't expect to be in. Did you ever start to sense responsibility as a leader to say, oh my, now I've kind of progressed to the standpoint where other people are looking at me or learning from me, and a sense of responsibility there? Did your thoughts about leadership ever change? Or how did you, other than your dad, were there ways that you were taught leadership?
Well, of course, when I was on my feet, we were on a farm, and I had lots of responsibilities around the farm, tending to animals, taking care of them, feeding them, purchasing the feed at the feed store down in Sykesville, Maryland. Just a lot of simple things that my parents ingrained in me to take responsibility, to fulfill. People have expectations of you. You need to set an example. You are an Eareckson, so when you go out in public, act like one, that kind of thing. And,
yeah, that's good.
But I'll never forget the first time in a wheelchair that I realized that God was calling me to be a leader. I was at the California State University, Northridge. It was a fundraiser, and it was crowded. There was a wheel-a-thon. People could come and raise money for the Center on the Center for Achievement for the Physically Disabled at CSUN University. And anyway, it was crowded, and I was just one person wheeling on the track with everybody else, and raising funds for this center. And I took a breather, and I was sitting along a large group of people, and a woman in a wheelchair came up to me who has cerebral palsy, and she only spoke very gutturally. It was very hard to understand her, and she was trying to communicate to me something, but I couldn't quite understand her. And then I leaned forward and I said, stop, and a little bit slower, and repeat that. And she pretty much said, I need to go to the bathroom. And she was asking me.
To help her.
And of course, what could I do? I'm a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
But she saw me as the leader in that large group of people.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, she has expectations of me, and I have solutions for her, and I can be the conduit to bring together a need and a solution, and I better get on it.
Yeah.
And so I quick found some volunteers who I knew were skilled in helping people with disabilities, and kind of got the message to them. This is this lady, here are her needs. Would you make certain there's clear access to the bathroom? No, you need to move that trash can over there, please. I mean, I just found myself directing traffic.
Taking over. Yeah.
So this girl could get to the bathroom. And suddenly I realized people look to me for leadership for some reason. And by golly, I better start acting like a leader.
Yeah.
And I was rather pushed into that corner at first, but then I realized, oh my, there are millions of people like that girl with cerebral palsy. Millions who not only need to go to the bathroom, they need to get out of bed.
Yeah.
They have no one to help them.
Yeah.
They live in Africa on dirty mattresses all day. They lie by the side of a cornfield, just lying there in the shade all day, watching their parents work for a living. I mean, there's just there 1.3 billion people with disabilities.
Is that right?
What can I do? I mean, it starts small with a girl with cerebral palsy who needs to go to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden you're thinking of a world out there.
Gosh,
Wow.
Isn't that story? I love it because she said at the very end, you start small. It was the smallest thing. And we say all the time at the GLN to lead where you are. And Eric, if I'm going to be honest, sometimes, right, I have this grand vision of leadership, like, but I want to do this, X, Y, Z. And yet so often what Joni is showing us in that story is, but lead where you are.
Exactly.
Start small. What's right in front of you? Do you think leaders can get stuck in that sometimes as well?
I mean, I know I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I can miss, or I can really get caught up in the idea that leadership is somehow illustrious or prestigious or involves a platform or books. And ultimately, leadership involves what happens between two people in a moment.
That's so good. Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I think things like that just really remind me. I mean, I don't have the platform or the positioning that someone like Joni Eareckson Tada has. I have my family.
Yep.
I have my friends.
Yep.
And I have the people I interact with on that come into my world in any random day.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm still called to show up though.
Absolutely. And I think too, especially too, right? Because a lot of people will be listening to this end of year, and right, there's some of us that are big on reflection, and we want to spend time reflecting on how did I really make impact this year? And right, there's part of that where it's like, did I reach my goals? Did I accomplish my goals? And then there's a lens to look through, this lens of leadership. Did I lead right where I was? Just like you're saying, in my home, with the teams that I serve on, in my community, at my kids' school, whatever it is. I think there's a really great framework for us to say, did I lead where I am as best as I can, and start evaluating our worlds that way?
Yeah. And I'll just add one thing.
Yeah.
Because it was woven into what she said. But sometimes if we take out the word leadership and put in the word serve or service.
That's so good. Yes.
And she said, that's what she did, was she served that woman.
That's right. Yep.
And so sometimes I have to think not leadership, but service.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay. No, I think that's a genius. Write that down. Serve. It matters. And that's where the joy is. That's where the joy actually is. So I love that. Okay. Now another episode we loved, we get to have David on the podcast. David's our CEO. We get to have David on the pod once a month. So it's been really fun to get to know him. If you want to get to know David, our CEO, go check out his episodes. He's been a pastor for 30 plus years, has built really, really beautiful things. We do a lot of question and response with David, just kind of pick his mind as to what he's done inside of his leadership. So we have this one episode where he talks about vision. And I don't know, I mean, we both sit with David's leadership at the GLN, and I've really enjoyed how David has framed up for us complexity when it comes to running an organization. And yet I find, Eric, that he makes some of that complexity really simple. So he takes a complex, what could be a complex vision, and really simplifies that for us. Do you find the same as well? And has that helped you at the GLN?
Yeah, I don't know. I think simplify, definitely. I think for me, he's remarkably consistent.
Yes.
Remarkably.
Agree.
I get the vision piece, but I'm like a future, I have a vision every day. Hey, let's do this thing today.
Yes.
And the thing about David is that he just helps us just say, no, it's this thing for now. It's this thing for now.
Yeah.
And so that just consistency
Yes.
really hits me.
I think, yes, exactly. I think he's taken that he's given us these clear goals and he keeps them consistently in front of us. And it's allowed us to have a groundwork to be able to move forward together at the GLN really, really well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he said about vision.
Yeah.
I think vision to me, Whitney, is really just knowing where you're going and a destination. What does that destination look like? And so you start drawing a picture of where you're going. I used to, as a kid, I loved looking at maps, and I loved going on trips with my parents, and I would hold the map, and I'd love to figure out the exact route we're going to get to that end point. And that's really all vision is saying, okay, where are we going? How are we going to get there? What does it look like? And it's casting that vision, letting people see, okay, if we do this together, here's where we're going to end up, and it's going to be a great thing. And so let's all move towards that direction. And so to me, that's exciting to both paint the picture of where we're going to go, but then also figure out the steps that we're going to take to get there.
That's good. And one thing I've noticed that you do that has been really neat for me to watch is you simplify it. You keep it really simple. I've been in other places where you're like, I don't know how to repeat the vision. I can't say it all, but you've simplified it. Is that something that you've learned over the years that people embrace more, or how did you get to that place?
Whitney, I don't know how I came to that place. I'm sure I learned it from others, but I find that if I can't express something myself simply, or even as I taught for years and years, if a third or fourth grader couldn't understand it, then nobody's going to understand it. And so I grew up in an environment where it was a very intellectual setting, and somebody would come in and speak, and they would be very intellectual. Everybody would go, that was amazing what he said. And then you'd ask, what did he say? We don't have a clue, but it was amazing because it was so intellectual.
He's really smart. And
yeah,
that's what they
exactly.
think,
And that's all they walk away with.
Yeah.
Where for me, it was like, okay, that's not why I do what I do. I want people to understand a concept. And so I need to break it down so simply that I can understand it. And once I understand it, can verbalize it simply, then they can grab that concept and take it too. And so I think even for a vision, sometimes we do overcomplicate it. We do make it too hard, or the steps to get there. And so if people can't verbalize it, then you're not going to move in the right direction because you don't know where you're going.
So, true story.
Yeah, tell me.
I love maps.
You do, just like David.
Well, I'm a little bit more ridiculous about it.
Okay,
because
tell me
every time we drive a lot when we travel, we go into a new state, they have a welcome center. I stop, I get a map. And I'm always like, when the grid goes down, I'm going to know where to get.
I'm going to be okay.
Well, my wife's like, why do we have maps full of, it's not 1978.
Wait,
Eric.
you like them because when the grid goes down?
I mean, I'm seriously, I'm not that way. But I do like, I think it's, I grew up with maps. I grew up with an atlas, and I grew up, just like sitting in the back seat. Well, we're here and we're trying to get there. So that's not what the talk is about, but that is,
but you love maps. I like knowing this about you.
Yeah. And the map thing, I just totally get it. It's just where we're going. And I think he kind of mentioned, but it's that thing too about, it's not where we're going in a dry intellectual sense. It's where we're going in a passionate sense. What's the impact we're going to make, because vision is dream to me. Like, I want a vision that somehow, without manipulating me, stirs me, hits me here, not here.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I certainly feel like it's very applicable for us. So if you're leading a team, I found that when we keep the vision in front of us, just like the heart, the why behind it, the impact of what we do, that's a game changer for the people that we get to serve when we just keep bringing that up. But Eric, also, I found, what do I want my legacy to be? Yep. What's the vision of my life? I just literally had a conversation with a friend last night, and she asked me the question. We were just chatting about life, making some big decisions. And she said, well, Whitney, what do you want your legacy to be? I mean, that's vision question. So I think it's really wise for us as a community to just ask ourselves, it's not just organizational, but also as an individual, what do I want my vision to be? And we can take something and simplify that as well. Okay, last one. I loved this episode. You know this. I talked about this episode all the time. I thought it was just fascinating. And there were clips that I went back to again and again in my mind. So we are talking about Gabe Salguero's podcast. He was also a GLS 25 speaker for us. And so that was fantastic. He talks a lot about bridge building and what that looks like.
Yep.
And I mean, he didn't just talk about bridge building in organizations, but what does it look like to be a bridge builder in your home, in your community? Like how do you build all that? What did you take from his episode?
Well, I took a couple things from
Okay.
it. So recently, if you listen to the podcast, you know that we've started to put like a little bit of a teaser clip at the front. I think this episode was the first one, and it was like the whole thing is a teaser,
And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap. So it was just so packed full of wisdom, practical wisdom. I think the thing that really stuck out to me about Gabe is I'm a big picture person, and he doesn't just talk about the specifics of a situation. He talks about the principles of what it means to be a bridge builder. So you can take his content for me, and it can apply to dealing, across cultural situations, but it can also deal across like generational, or in, like you said, in your family.
Right.
And I think it is also, I think that's one thing. The second thing is it's just a posture of openness and humility on a leader's part to say, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah. And he's built a beautiful life around not having all the answers.
Yep.
And he has done some incredible things inside of his communities and beyond. So there was this clip stopped me. In fact, when I was listening to this for the first time, I think I almost gasped when I was like, oh man, there's so much wisdom in what he said. So let's check out this clip with Gabe.
So talk a little bit about the tension. I mean, it feels like there could be a tension, Gabe, where what we've been saying thus far is to be a hyphenated leader, you need to just slow down. You need to be quiet. You need to listen, observe, learn from others. But all of us as leaders, I think, have this propensity for action. And so I would think internally there's this tension of, man, I need to do something. And so how do you balance that between action and listening? Is there a point where you go, okay, it's time to move now? Or
yeah, because listening is action, and it's leading you to informed action.
Okay.
And so you want to take action that is deeply informed. But the truth is that there is such a thing as, paralysis of analysis. There is such a thing as inertia. Yeah. And look, I'm a person that likes to get things done because I am in my kind of default setting, I'm a creator, I'm an innovator, and I like to try new things. I'm a risk taker. And so often I'm moving quickly. But what I've discovered is that I can balance action and listening in a way that says, I set boundaries of saying, hey, look, this is how much time we're going to listen and seek informed. But after this time, we need to make a decision. Or in some cases, it's me that has to make the decisions because that's my role and my vocation. And so if you tell people ahead of time, I'm going to listen and I'm going to really listen, but this is not unlimited. Yeah. That first focuses people to speak precisely and to say exactly what they want to say. It's like when GLS told me, you got to speak 30 minutes. Well, it focuses you. And that's a good thing because I think it's more difficult to speak 30 minutes than it is to speak an hour because it disciplines you. And so when people know they have a time frame before action must be taken, they prioritize what they're going to say. And so you're hearing to the most important things. But I think that listening has to have boundaries, but you have to state that ahead of time. Let people know, okay, our time for discussing is this much. And then after that, we make an informed action. You get buy-in that way, but you also get people to prioritize. And then thirdly, it holds you accountable to not just be kind of Pollyanna listening and not doing anything. So it has those three impacts.
Well, and it's real good for me to hear you say, it's a good reminder for me that listening is action, because it could really easily seem like, we're just being passive here. We're not getting anything done, but taking action, listening might be the action we need to take. So that was good learning for me. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Listening is an action. I think that's so genius.
My wife tells me that all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. But we just don't think that listening, right? Action to me is movement forward. I'm driving something home. And to think, right, because I can relate with Gabe on like the innovation and achievement, but to frame something and saying, okay, well, what if step one is to listen? Does that come natural to you? Because that's not natural to me.
It does not. It does not. I mean, but I think, and I think it actually might have been the teaser for that episode. He says somewhere else in that episode, he said, if you don't listen, you could be solving problems that you don't need to be solving.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the things that stop me and just say, if I'm having a serious conversation with somebody, if I'm getting input, I don't just need to listen to, the words that they're saying and the mere facts, but I need to understand the emotion, the space that they're coming from, because that can tell me just as much as a leader or just as a human being. Like, what is the situation? What is the problem? What do you need to bring into this so that you can buy into it, or so that we can stay aligned on this thing? And it does not. But it does not come naturally. But I think that's what he's trying to say. Listening is action. It's a skill. We can all learn it. We can't just say, "Well, I'm not a good listener, so it doesn't work for me." No, you can learn.
You can learn it, and I think too, there's a part of this where sometimes, and again, vulnerable moment. But as a leader, you want to show up like you know what you're doing. And so you can have this tendency, let me reframe that. I can have a tendency to show up in a room and acting like, well, I've got this figured out. And here's our solution. And we're going to go X, Y, Z, check, check, check. Where instead, the danger of that could be, I might be solving a problem that's actually not the problem on the table.
Or creating new problems.
And many of us know the experience of what that feels like as well, to create new problems. Yeah. And so this is something I know, Eric, that I really want to bring into my journey as a human and as a leader in 2026 is, how do I get to frame up listening as an action in my own, that applies to every sphere of influence in my life. So that's something that I certainly want to frame up.
Yeah. And it's a gift. It's a gift that you can give to the people around you, to your family.
Yeah.
And I think, as Gabe said, it doesn't need to be unlimited.
Yeah.
It can be, hey, for 15 minutes.
Give a time frame for sure. Right. Just listen. Yeah. Well, Eric, this has been such a fun year to get to enjoy this podcast community together. Yeah. And it's so fun to get to know you as a leader and see you on your leadership journey. And I know we think about all of you guys. We think about you. We believe in your leadership so much. So thank you so much for joining us on this journey.
Yeah. See you next year.
That was so great getting to connect with Eric and talk through our favorite podcast moments. As you can probably tell, we're just two people on the same path you're on, trying to grow as leaders in our real everyday lives. And I'll tell you something about myself. I am deeply drawn to people who keep showing up, people who keep leaning in, people who refuse to settle. And because you press play on this episode, I know that's true about you too. And so as we wrap up this year, I want to say something to you personally. Even though you and I haven't gotten to sit in the same room together, I can picture you. In fact, I do picture you growing, learning, stretching in 2025. And I'm guessing you tried some new things this year. That is incredible. It's truly incredible. Give yourself a high five for stepping outside your comfort zone. And I'm equally sure you failed at a few things too. I did. Maybe you committed to a new fitness routine, or maybe James Hewitt inspired you to make rest a priority. And then suddenly you found yourself scrolling instead of sleeping. I've been there. But hear me. Failure means you were trying. Failure means you learned something new and put it into action. And action usually brings a few bumps along the way. I'm proud of you for saying yes to the process. I'm proud of you for navigating the obstacles, and I'm super proud of you for not giving up. So however this year feels to you, whether it was full of wins or full of stretching, I'm genuinely grateful that you've kept saying yes to your leadership journey. The world is aching for healthy, grounded leaders. And your willingness to keep growing, it's allowing others around you to rise too. So finally, a heartfelt thank you. Thank you to every donor who has made this podcast possible. Right now, we have over 300 Summit champions who give monthly to ensure that leadership content like this podcast reaches leaders all over the world. This giving community helps more than 365,000 leaders across the globe access life-changing tools that they would never have had otherwise. So let me ask you, if this podcast has served you in any way this year, would you consider paying it forward? Would you give so that another leader, maybe in Northeast India, maybe in Nigeria, or maybe right in your own neighborhood, can grow and get better too? You can give today at globalleadership.org/give25. Truly, every gift matters, so that's globalleadership.org/give25. Thank you for being here. Thank you for growing, and thank you for being a part of this global movement of leaders. Until next time, remember this: everyone has influence, so lead where you are.